I'm Dr. Copeland. I shot this film on 2 cruises aboard the Ile-de-France. Some people sail off on cruises to get away from alarm clocks and jangled nerves, or like me, to get away from being on call day and night. Others, like my wife, because they love to shop and save. And still others, like my son, want to see the world and get acquainted with the storybook names of the region. Me? I'm a camera bug, or whatever it is we're called. When I left wintry New York, I had enough film to shoot a Hollywood production. We got a wonderful feeling of serenity and peace as the ship skirted the coastlines of several islands of the Leeward Group. What a contrast with the noise and hurly-burly of the big city. For a day, we were able to contemplate the changing countryside from our floating hotel. To name a few of the islands, there's St. Martin, Saba, and lovely St. Kitts, called the mother colony of the West Indies. And so it is with the Caribbean. Islands big and small, important and unimportant, but all with fascinating histories that include uprisings, revolutions, earthquakes, and pirate raids. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Martinique changed hands many times, and the Dutch, the French, and the English fought fiercely for its possession. Napoleon's Empress Josephine was born here. There's a marble statue of her in the public park of the capital, Fort-de-France. Across the lovely Baie des Flamands, there's a small museum dealing with her life. The dance known as the Biguine originated here. The people of Martinique are a gay lot, noted for their easy laughter and graceful rhythm. We came across this colorful fishing village called Case-Pilote. In a way, it is reminiscent of some of the small fishing towns of the French Riviera. Rivière Madame is one of those small, charming streams that serves both as a laundry for busy housewives and as a pool for Junior. Columbus discovered Martinique on his 4th voyage in 1502. But it is through a violent act of nature that history best remembers the island. In 1902, Mount Pelée erupted in all its fury and wiped out the entire population of 40,000 of the former capital, Saint Pierre. Ironically, there was only one survivor, a prisoner in an underground dungeon. It earned for the area the title of Pompeii of the New World. My son Dwight got interested in this mock wedding party, and I'm glad he did. The dignity of the children was very touching. As we dropped anchor in Port of Spain, we saw a scene familiar to all who have visited the tropics. Native boys begging for coins and diving for them as they are thrown from the upper decks. Like all Caribbean cities, Port of Spain has a mixed ancestry. First it was an Indian village, then the Spaniards took over, and finally the English. Columbus came upon Trinidad, the most southerly of the Indies, in 1498. There's quite a remarkable botanical garden in Port of Spain. Nature has been kind to Trinidad and to photographers with an urge to do color shooting. I had a field day shooting left and right. The entire place is ablaze with color and flowers of every description. Along the scenic North Coast Road, the fine beach of Maracas on beautiful Maracas Bay, with the startling contrast of white sands against the lush green vegetation. The Far Eastern influence is very strong here. Saris from India are as common as mantillas from Spain. It rivals New York as one of the world's great melting pots. Side by side you find a Hindu temple, a Chinese holy man, an East Indian, and a Muslim mosque. But it is in the domain of music and fun-making that Trinidad has made a name for itself. Calypso music and steel bands were conceived, born, and raised here. Calypso singers dressed in the most outlandish of costumes will start serenading at the drop of a hat in their strange, offbeat rhythms. Sometimes they make up lyrics as they go along. We were lucky enough to touch Trinidad at carnival time. And what a time! There's everything. Dancing and singing in the streets, parades, mad costumes, and fun for all. This is Curacao, and today I won't see my wife. She's left me to my hobby while she pursues her own, shopping all day. The reason for this is that here you can get practically anything, and the prices are fantastically low. This is one of the low-duty ports. Curacao boasts of the oldest synagogue in the Western Hemisphere. There's a fascinating swinging pontoon bridge that links the two halves of the capital, Williamstown. It is called the Queen Emma Bridge. The island is a Dutch possession, and it is as clean as the mother country. The old architecture of Curacao is almost a replica of 17th century Amsterdam. The rooftops with their gables and spires are quite unique in the Indies. The houses are painted in rich pastels, and the sun works wonders as it hits these rich tints. The plaque honors William, Prince of the House of Orange. Today, the representative of that same dynasty dwells in the governor's house in Fort Amsterdam. The building dates from the 17th century. Today I'm in luck. My wife is coming with me. Here she is coming down to board the tender. The tender ride takes about a quarter of an hour. We are going to see Barbados, called Little England. It is the most easterly of the Caribbean islands and has been under British rule for 330 years. The policeman's immaculate uniform is as colorful as the gaily painted bus. A picturesque local site is Sam Lord's Castle, now a hotel. It was built in 1820 by Sam Lord, a planter whose one desire was to build the finest house on the island. My wife particularly loved the romantic quality of St. John's Church, and especially the churchyard, so reminiscent of the churchyards of England. It was at the insistence of my son, who could not believe that a lump of sugar could come from cane, that we wandered over to the cane fields. You see, the entire island is under cultivation, and sugar is the chief product. The cane field, swinging in the breeze, and the narrow roads just wide enough for a car, bring a soothing charm of the European countryside to this semi-tropical scene. Thanks to Dwight, who lingered by the fields, we enjoyed the beautiful sight of workers silhouetted against the fading light of late afternoon. In Venezuela, we visited 3 cities. First came Puerto Cabello, the second largest seaport of the country. Then, about 35 miles distant, Valencia, capital of the state of Carabobo. This is an old city of narrow streets and ancient buildings. This old colonial touch gives it a great deal of charm and quaintness. This is the Cathedral of Valencia, done in the famous Spanish colonial style of the 17th and 18th centuries. The third city is Carabobo, scene in 1821 of a famous battle which gave Venezuela its independence from Spain. A beautiful monument commemorates the event. Busts of some of the leaders of the fight for independence adorned the entrance, including the famous Negro Primero. Passengers gather at the dockside and get ready to board the Ile-de-France again. There was no tender at Panama. This was a source of great disappointment to Dwight, who was looking forward to another ride on it. The statue commemorates Balboa, who discovered the Pacific, and called the ocean by that name because he found it so calm. We joined the tour to the famous Gatun locks and were able to see the actual operation of the canal. The locks are necessary due to the different levels of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The cable car pulling the vessels through the locks is still called a mule. The canal is 50 miles long and cuts off 2 weeks of traveling around Cape Horn. At the splendid Hotel Panama, we relaxed, enjoyed a pleasant luncheon, and watched the natives perform one of their engaging dances. For these occasions, the women wear their special costumes derived from Spanish colonial times. Discovered by Columbus in 1492, Haiti is coming out of semi-obscurity, tourist-wise. Perhaps nothing illustrates better the old quaint ways of Haiti than the mule, which is a form of transportation, and the marketplace, which is a sort of social and business clearinghouse. In his novel, Lydia Bailey, Kenneth Roberts speaks of that almost unbelievable miracle of searing sunlight and the deep blue water. He might have spoken too of dancing, which is a talent seemingly possessed by all Haitians, young and old, for singing and dancing have a high place in the Haitian way of life. He might have spoken too of cockfighting, which is a highly regarded sport in Haiti. Port-au-Prince, the capital and most important city, is where one can eat lobster served on the flames of rum, and wild guinea hen à la créole, and incredible shopping bargains. Some of the first-class hotels overlooking the town afford magnificent panoramic views of the harbor and surrounding countryside. In Cuba, we landed at Matanzas, which has one of the largest harbors in the Western Hemisphere. Some of our companions went on to Havana with its famed nightlife. Others, like ourselves, drove about 16 miles down the coast to Varadero. Both the beach and the hotel defy description. The Hotel Varadero ranks with Miami's finest, and the lovely beach is second to none. The hotel owns a strip of it some 800 feet in length. Relaxation and comfort are the order of the day. Whether you're eating, or listening to music, or shopping, everything's done in the open air. Talking about shopping, it would seem that the shop comes to you. This statue represents Queen Isabella of Spain, offering her jewels to finance the voyage of Columbus. And this one of sailors kissing the feet of Columbus on first sight of land. Dwight won't be competition to Buster Crabbe, but he so enjoyed himself in the lovely pool of the Varadero. This is my wife. This is Nassau, and this is a Surrey with a fringe on top. After all the walking we've been doing, she's happy to be riding. In case you're wondering what the carriage is doing on the left-hand side of the road, you must remember that the traffic, as in Britain, moves on the left side. Nassau has been called the most modern and sophisticated of the resorts of the Bahamas, which comprise some 700 islands. There is never a time when some flowers are not in bloom. Nassau has a reputation as the Empire Showcase, and some of England's finest goods can be purchased in Nassau's quaint shops. By contrast, there's the open market along the docks where you can buy everything imaginable, including turtles and sweet yams. This is a busy and fascinating section of Nassau, with freighters, small crafts, sloops, barges, all types of sailing vessels, continually slipping in and out of the harbor, a harbor which never seems deserted. For the last time, the anchor goes up. It's the last leg of the voyage, but there's plenty of time for swimming outdoors before returning to snow and cold. Now is the time to exchange addresses with newly made friends, or perhaps it's time for a card game, or lounging on the sun deck, or looking back on the wonderful days that have gone by, or dancing in the open air, or sipping drinks under a parasol, as though in Paris on the Champs-Élysées or the boulevards. Here's the statue. You were glad to pass her by on the starboard side. Now that you see her on the port side, you're not so sure. Your reactions are mixed. But you know this, you've had a grand time, a memorable time. You'll cherish those memories and want to renew them, and you'll bless your decision to go cruising aboard the French line.